Bro, you're the nicest UFC fighter in the world, dude.
Shout out Basement Talk, man.
I'm gonna bite at least 2 of your ears off.
I make more than $1 million in a day sometimes.
You better have that.
What are you looking at? Kobe looks this way.
Dude, I just had to tell like everyone to chill.
What?
We got Steven in the house.
Yes, sir.
Wait, what happened?
I said I had to text everyone on my phone, put everyone on mute because we got Steven in the house.
No.
Hell yeah,
What's
bro.
up, bro?
Thank
Yeah,
you for
welcome.
coming on.
Yeah, man.
This is weird because we're really good friends outside of this.
Yeah.
And it's weird that we're just
Him being in like a
we
guest
save
spot.
it for you guys that we just sit down and we're just catching up right now kind of on life and how busy you've been and how busy we've all been. So
Well, like we haven't sat down and just talked for
like a year probably.
months,
yeah.
months, like for sure.
And it's crazy because we always sit down and we hang out and we talk, but it's never on camera.
Nope.
It's
How
pretty
long has
crazy.
it been? Like, actually, it's been a fucking long time, right? Man, maybe.
Probably like 6 months to at least a year. But we've all been doing our own things like
Something like
grinding.
that,
Time's
yeah.
going by quick though.
And like we tried here and there, but it was just a matter of schedules lining up. And
Yeah.
then closer I got to SEMA with a car, it like things just got
You got
busier
crazy.
and busier and busier. So
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. We're
Yeah.
excited to have you on. We've been talking about having you on now though for like a year.
yeah.
So we
Since we
appreciate
started
you
it.
coming
Yeah.
on. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This episode is going to be awesome. We got one of the best, if not the best now, car builder.
Yeah,
think
how do we
you are.
introduce you?
No.
I think you are though.
no.
Bro, if your car makes it in the Toyo booth at SEMA, that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah.
You've done really well.
Yeah.
And you're really humble. So I'm going to say it for you. But this is one of the best car builders out there. And you've done a good job and you deserve it.
Yes,
Where did it
sir.
all start, Steven?
Where did it
Yeah.
start for you?
Start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning. Who is young Steven?
Like beginning with car stuff and whatnot, or just
Life, bro. I mean, car stuff too. But
Yeah.
well, like before cars, it all started with I think with mountain biking.
Yes.
So it's like that's kind of where things kind of stemmed for me, to where like throughout high school I was racing mountain bikes, even after high school a little bit racing mountain bikes. Like that was my life. Like I had never went through a party stage or anything.
Host stage.
Even through like high school, like no girlfriends, no relation, nothing. Like it was training 6 days a week,
Dang.
racing mountain bikes. That was my life. And even all my friends hanging out at the time were part of the mountain bike team. Like that was literally my life. And then, yeah, after high school, still racing mountain bikes. And that's when I kind of switched over to enduro downhill, and started racing there, and then dipped into.
And what location are you in? You've been in California your whole upbringing?
Yeah, I've been in Mission Viejo.
Okay.
Like
Orange County.
Southern
Where we're
Orange,
at.
Southern Orange County, kind of my whole life.
Pretty good spot for mountain biking and stuff.
Yeah, pretty good
Yeah.
spot for mountain biking, and just overall, like I'm blessed to have been raised and grown up here for sure. So fortunate to say the least.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, it's crazy how that worked, given that like my parents came over from Europe, from Hungary in the late 80s, and they came straight to Orange County, which was
Wow.
insane, because most of the time when people immigrate over from places like Europe, they end up in like this random state or East Coast.
Yeah, more
or,
East Coast.
Yeah.
Orange County.
So
And I
them
can
ending up
say,
in Orange County
Yeah.
is crazy.
and I can say, I've met your parents a couple times. They are the most
Yeah.
amazing human beings. They're so down to earth. They're amazing. They have you come into the house, making food.
It's
They're
the
just
Hungarian hospitality.
Yeah, they're amazing
Love
people.
having people over.
They're so good. Why do you have a puffer on, dude?
Dude,
Are you hot?
it's like a fucking refrigerator in here all day. Now it's all warm, dude. Come
It's
on.
all good.
Why are you fucking...
No, just
Yeah, I
get
got
back
the
to the
light
story.
on.
yours
It's
is
okay.
light though.
Dude,
Whatever.
Fuck you,
Hell, you're
man.
distracting from the
Um,
story, okay?
But yeah, but like back to let's say
So you were racing.
yeah. So
Tell
I
us
was
about the-
racing.
tell
So
us
throughout
about
high
that.
school, I was racing like cross country, mountain bikes. So more so like endurance style, not very downhill. And then when I dipped into kind of downhill racing, that's kind of when I started taking it. Well, I was taking it seriously, of course, like competing in like the high school mountain bike league and
What
and
is
all
downhill racing though, real
Yeah.
quickly? What is that?
So I raced a category called enduro, which it wasn't on full on downhill bikes. It was on a pretty much a trail bike, which still had a lot of suspension, but it wasn't like a full on downhill bike. And with enduro, it's a multi-stage race. So you actually have to climb up to each stage, but only the downhills are timed. So the climb up to each stage isn't timed. Well, it's timed to where you have a set time limit to get up to the top to start the next stage, but it's a multi-stage downhill race. So there's a lot more endurance involved in it. The actual downhill stages have a little bit more pedaling compared to like normal downhill races. Normal downhill races, it's usually just one run, and
You're like kind of carving down. You're not having to like.
So with enduro, it's in my opinion more physical in terms of the cardio, the endurance side
to
of
train
things.
harder for it.
Coming from a cross country background, it worked out into my favor to where a lot of the people that only grew up racing downhill didn't have that advantage of the cardio, the physical side of things, racing those types of races. So kept on pushing that and started just moving up the ladder and raced junior pro and actually raced a couple of the Enduro World Series races. So like went out to Colorado, to Aspen, raced out there, and then the other World Series race I went up to Canada to Whistler, BC, and I did one of the Crankworks World Series races there.
This is probably something your newer following fan base.
I don't really
They don't
share
know
that
How
anything
old
about
were you?
stuff.
I
How
didn't
old were
even
you
know
at
about
this time when
this.
you were?
So I did that when I think I was like 18 years old.
Oh wow! So you were young in that World
17,
Series.
18. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Wait,
because
is
it was junior pro.
Oh okay.
So
Super cool.
like my category was under 21.
Have you
Got
ever
it.
like fell or like broken any bones? and
Yeah,
stuff?
like I've broken my shoulder pretty good to where it's like I wish it was just my collarbone. I split the plate between the actual ball and socket, and I fractured that to where I had to get 2 pins locking my shoulder in place for like a month and a half.
Oh gosh.
So like that was pretty good.
That's gnarly.
I still like don't have full range of motion and stuff like that.
Damn.
But yeah, I never had like an injury that like put me out
Yeah.
or anything there. It kind of just over time racing kind of just burnt me out. And that's where the transition into cars began, to where at that time, like I had my because I got my GTI. So transitioning into cars a little bit, the GTI, that is my main project to this day.
It's your first car?
It was my first car. I bought it when I was 17, completely bone stock. It was kind of like, I've always wanted a GTI since I was a little kid. Like even my email has GTI in it, and I created that when I was 11 years old. So I've always wanted one, finally got one. And then in the transition between bikes and cars, that's when I got into pretty much modifying the GTI, having fun with that, going out with friends to car meets and stuff like that. And then, yeah, kind of stopped racing and then eventually kind of stopped riding just because I just got super burnt out from it.
And now you're full blown.
And that's kind of when just went full blown into car stuff. And yeah, with the GTI, it's been quite the journey.
So talk about you walking into the dealership and buying that car. What was the excitement like?
It was actually a surprise. My parents surprised me
Really?
with it.
Oh dang.
So it was something where, like, for months and months, my dad and I have been going back and forth finding different cars, and he actually found the GTI and kept it a surprise, and kind of surprised me with it to where, coming home from school one day, pull up to the house and it's on the driveway.
What
And
was
it
that feeling like?
Oh man. I didn't believe it. Like I didn't think it was mine. So it was definitely a
Was that like the perfect color, perfect options? Like your dad nailed it, or were you like,
well, we
what
were
the
kind of
fuck,
looking
Dad?
at the
I
we
wanted
were
black
kind of
or
looking
something?
at the no, I wanted white.
Okay.
We were kind of looking at the previous generation
Yeah.
GTI, the Mark V. So the Mark VI was actually a surprise because it was at that time that that car was only 3 years old.
Okay.
So, and he found a crazy deal to where it was a high mileage car. It was a highway driven.
I know how your dad is with car
Yeah,
dealerships. He loves deals.
Yeah, so it was a highway driven car. Had 130,000 miles on it for a 3-year-old car, which is pretty crazy. But the thing was mint,
It's always been meant.
which is kind of funny because like now it's not even.
Now
the
you ruined
same-
it.
Yeah, I ruined it. But yeah, no, it was cool, and it was something where like that was my first car. I learned manual with the car. Like it was a lot of firsts with that car.
When did you start kind of engaging in the car scene? Were you going to car shows before you got the car, or was it
Not
when
really.
you got the car?
I was kind of living vicariously through social media and other people until I got the GTI. That's when I started going to like local VW meets.
That's
and
what I was
stuff
going
like
to say,
that.
because people
Yeah.
that usually get GTIs, they usually are the same guys that like to kind of mod cars and do things to cars or drive quick or things like that. So before you got the car, you had to have been a car guy.
Oh yeah, like I was following along stuff and like always wanting a car to mod. Like when I was 13, I was looking up like exhaust tips for me wanting to buy exhaust tips for my sister's car for Christmas. But it was like eBay junk. Like
Yeah.
it was bad, but I didn't know better. Like I was just some kid that wanted to buy exhaust tips for my sister's Audi.
So go on.
Sorry, and when you're doing that, like as a kid and stuff, is there like any thought in your mind, like being in the mountain biking stuff, that could be a career for you down the line, or is it just kind of
No
one of those
idea.
things you were just interested in?
Just passion towards cars and just having fun. I had no idea at that moment of time, like when I was mountain biking, I was going towards graphic design. Like I had set like I was going to be going to college, graphic design. Like that was my path that I thought I was going to be going towards. So I had no idea that I would be actually getting into cars or even modifying a car to that extent.
Yeah,
Like I had no idea at all.
oh, that's cool.
So once I started actually modifying the GTI, like within I think a month and a half, put different taillights on it, put a catback exhaust, and just snowball effect. 7 months in, I put air suspension on the car. A couple months later, different wheels. All things that my dad didn't necessarily want me to do because he just wanted to he's an OEM plus guy. Like he's a car guy, but he's an OEM plus guy. I would say purist.
Of course.
So
That's like
especially
my
the
dad.
air
You did
suspension.
the opposite of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
the air, like I've been, ever since I got the GTI, I've been a salesman to my dad
Trying to convince
What
him.
is that?
because,
What is that?
oh, it took me some selling on the air suspension to get like, for him to allow me to purchase the
That
air
was
suspension just to put
probably-
on my car.
He was probably heartbroken.
No, so like
Air suspension. There's a big debate out there in the car world.
he didn't want me to lower the car or this and like
What's the debate?
No, people always like
the hate on air
they
suspension
hate on
versus
air
coilovers.
versus coilovers. Like
Mm.
what has better fitment, what performs better, things like that.
I could go on and on about that, but yeah,
We can
it
save
What's your
that.
take?
It's a whole nother problem.
with air suspension and
Yeah.
coilovers, it's there's pros and cons with both. Like for example, the GTI has been on air suspension, for 7 years, and now it's on coilovers. Just because now I'm trying to go after more of a true function race car aspect with it, to where I'd lean towards a proper coilover setup with that. But yeah, for the past 7 years, the car was on air suspension. I drove the car. I daily drove it. Like I racked up 80,000 miles on that air suspension.
You've been on rallies with that thing,
and I tracked the car. Like I did a track day with it on air suspension with the wide body and everything. So it's not like I haven't tested it. And like, for example, Airlift, years ago, they did a full Subaru Time Attack car on air suspension, and it actually set records.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So there's a lot of misconception with air suspension. It's not, it doesn't handle like junk or compared to coilovers, and coilovers are superior, and bags are only for people that want to air out and go to shows. That's not necessarily the case. Like bags do offer great function in terms of being able to air up to clear certain stuff, but still be able to drive low or air out. So there's a lot of function behind it too. And as long as the setup is installed properly and tuned properly, you're going to get a great handling setup.
But it's a hard sell to your dad, that's for sure.
Yeah, 17, 18-year-old me trying to convince my dad to want to slam my car. And then my car needed a frame notch where you cut a section of the frame to make clearance for the axle when you air out. So trying to explain, hey, Dad, I want to cut up my frame of my brand new to me car. No.
He's not on board.
So it took a little bit. And yeah, he still marks that day when I convinced him as the spiral downwards of what the car has become.
The start to the
Does he still hate on it?
It's something where he's seen the vision. He's seen what it's brought. And that was a big thing with this year, especially with bringing my family to SEMA, to where they were actually able to see the car there at SEMA and witness kind of this world that I'm in.
Did you reveal it to them there?
Well, the night before the car gets, or pretty much before the car got loaded onto the trailer, that last stretch, which we'll talk about in a little bit. He was there for that whole time. So he saw literally the last bolt being put onto the car. Like he stayed awake with all of us there at the shop, getting it done with us. Just being as much just trying to be as helpful and supportive as he can, because as much as he maybe disapproved on certain things that I did with the car and whatnot, he's always been super supportive and helpful in any way he can towards it, because he is a great dad.
And probably because of how passionate you were too.
He understood how much it meant to me, so he wanted to do whatever he could to support that.
Then that moment of him watching you build it and stuff must have been super cool for you too.
So at first, 2.5 years ago, when I started the full teardown of this version of the car, oh man, he had doubts. Like me explaining, I want to be doing this. It's going to be a full race car. It's going to be this.
It's probably not just your dad.
I want to talk about that, but we got to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I have so many questions about that whole process and things that kind of went on. But let's go back a little bit and let's talk about going to your car meets and going to first car meets and kind of building a name for yourself. Because it's tough to build a name for yourself in the car community and the car streets.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough. And right now you can tell us, because I'm in the car business, but in a totally different business.
Yeah.
But how's the car scene then versus now? And how was it building your name then?
So, well, first to start, it was never about necessarily building my name. Like there was no motive in terms of like me trying to create an image for it was purely like just enjoying cars and hanging out with friends. Like that's what it was all about. Like there was no business with cars with me at that time. It was just a bunch of us friends building cars, hanging out till midnight in a parking lot, just shooting the shit. Like that's what it was about. And like, I enjoy that and I miss that greatly. It was something where it's not like that anymore, especially with car meets. It's all about attention, social media, that whole side of things, to where back then it was 2016, 2017, and that was kind of the end of the era in terms of kind of the goodish times with the car culture, car scene type. And a lot of people that experienced that time would agree to that. And that was when the overlap of social media came into effect.
So that was when Instagram was kind of getting big with like car people. Just
Instagram, TikTok, all the social media definitely was a big attribute to, I would say it as a decline to the car side. As much as the car side of things has grown over the past years because social media, it's been a decline in a different way.
How is that?
So it's just a matter of a lot of people are getting into cars now because it's a trend. They know it's something that could bring them attention if they build a cool car, they get a certain car and they post about it. They could get a lot of attention, followers, likes, whatever it may be, and that's what stems the enjoyment out of cars for them. To where, don't get me wrong, like you could do whatever you want. Like I respect whatever you do in terms of that, but that's just not how it was. How it was before is you getting into cars because you purely enjoy cars as a passion and just being around it, no matter what anybody else says. It's not reliant on you getting a certain amount of attention or people looking at you a certain
I wonder
way.
what the percentages of people in 2016, 17 that had Instagram on their window to now. Bro, you know what I'm talking about.
So,
you know what I'm talking about?
Everybody's got the
Everyone
tag.
has their like on their window.
Anybody
Yeah.
who's got like anything
You
done
thought
to their
about
car
doing
has
it
that.
once?
Yeah, bro, because I was like,
oh, not many. And even then, like, there wasn't many people that were technically like influencers or big people in the car side of things at that. Like there was a handful, like to where they're kind of the OGs in that sense of things, but it was a matter because they were actually doing stuff that were allowing them to gain that following or that attention, not necessarily just going out and buying a car or posting up a video that goes viral and then that's how they gain their following. So there's definitely a different dynamic now than there was. And even at the time, like 2016, when I was first kind of getting into, let's say, the scene, it wasn't a matter of how many followers I could get or how many likes. Because when I bagged the GTI at the end of 2015, that's when I created my Instagram that I have now. I had a previous Instagram just for like mountain bike stuff, which it was really just like a personal like type deal. But yeah, end of 2015, that's when I started the Instagram that I currently have,
bro,
use.
I remember when you started it.
It was just a picture
I was
of
like
the
14.
GTI bagged on stock everything, and that's it.
I was like 14, and for you guys watching, I'm really good friends with your brother.
Yeah.
So are all of us. So he would kind of repost your car, and I'm like, dude, this car is sick. And we'd see like videos you'd post. You were like OG though, doing that, like posting videos of your car rolling, posting like edits of your car. So if you guys scroll kind of far down, your car was blue, right?
Yeah. So
That was
a little later.
a little later.
No, it was
actually.
white always.
So
It was white,
So
but
it was
you-
originally white.
I kind of feel like when
how the Instagram started, because I started it as kind of just wanting to document what I do to the car. That was it. Like purely that, not a matter of who sees it, this and that. It was just for fun. And that's when I picked up, because when I was younger, like in middle school and stuff like that, I was with camera stuff. Like I was part of the yearbook team and all that. So I was with photography, and that's what I did for a while. And that mixed in with the whole graphic design thing as well. So when I started modding the GTI, I picked up a camera again. And that's when I started taking up photography, but only shooting I wasn't out shooting other people's cars or anything. It was going out after school every day, catching sunset with the car, and going to new locations with it to just take photos and post on my Instagram. And then like if you scroll back, you'll just see a lot of photography of my car, to where like all the posts that I used to do were all all my photos that I took of it. And like, I was really into that, of trying to push my limits in the photography side of things. And like, that's the reason why I befriended and have so many friends on the visual, like cinematic photography, because
you got a lot of buddies in that
world, because like I was in that, just not doing it for clients and other people's cars. I was just doing it for my own car, but I was still getting kind of that recognition in that type of the scene, given that it was still good photography.
Good content.
Yeah, and then the snowball of modding the car just kept on getting more and more, and that's when, after I had the bags, wheel, stock body, like it was a really tasteful setup, which looking back, like it was really clean for a stock body setup. But I wanted wide body. I wanted to wide body the car. And there was no options really out there for this car other than these bolt-on flares that I had, which it got the job done. But even from when I bought those, I never wanted those. People may think like I loved those flares. I did not like them at all. But they got the car wider and got me kind of the look I wanted.
There was no other option for it? Really?
No.
And that's kind of why.
That's what stemmed the whole wide body situation.
That makes sense.
Because ever since I wanted to wide body the car and I had to use those bolt-on flares, I've always wanted to make my own kit from that day. And that was 6 years ago. So I've always wanted to do it. But at the time I was 19 years old. There's no way in hell I would be able to do it at that time.
That's what you believed.
Yeah, it was literally just a dream, and I didn't think anything else of it. That's it. So I did that version of the car. I wrapped it, built a sweet set of rotiform wheels, which those were like my holy grail wheels. Like I love those things, which don't have them anymore. I transferred the legacy of them to another Mark 6 wide body, which is cool to see.
That's good.
But yeah, I rocked that setup, which was the blue. Like you probably saw that. That setup
was crazy.
And that setup is what kind of kicked things off social media wise, when I realized, like when I revealed that, like did the reveal shoot.
Didn't it have like
with
a carbon
Ren's,
hood?
Yeah, I added a carbon hood.
I remember
Initially it didn't.
Okay.
But then I added a carbon hood to it. But yeah, revealing that version really kind of blew things up a little bit, to where then I started getting a following and like more followers.
How did that feel?
Posts.
When Nick, you posted something and you were like, holy shit, this many people saw it. Was it weird?
Well, okay. The situation that really like happened was, we were out in Long Beach. We were doing the reveal shoot with my buddy Ren's, and then who's the photographer.
Okay.
And then a couple other buddies, and we were doing the reveal shoot. And he edited the reveal photo on the spot there, so I could post it, I think by like 8 p.m. or something. Posted it, and then like within 5 minutes, or like 10 minutes, the post has like 800 likes. And like usually at the time my posts like only got 800 likes or less. So like within a matter of 10 minutes, it almost has 1,000 likes. And I was just like, what is going on? And like the comments were blowing up, like people were going crazy over it. And I was just like, what is going on? That's completely new to me in terms of it getting that type of attention. And like, don't get me wrong, it's like anybody who's in that position who gets that influx of attention would like it. It's just the natural dopamine that gets released into your brain.
I love it.
When you see the likes, when you see the comments.
So fire.
Get Kobe views right now.
Yeah.
Get
That's what he
Kobe
lives
viral.
for.
Yo, you guys got to sub.
Hey, I want to
He's gonna
say
go
though,
Hollywood.
the photos, dude, we forget in the basement, the photos canvas on our wall still are the
Oh,
ones
that's-
you
yeah.
took.
Yeah.
I never
And
forget
those
that.
are like
Yeah.
crazy, the craziest. That was
Yeah,
best piece of
you
work.
are a really, really, really good photographer. Like we have photos in our house from yours.
Yeah.
And it looks
Your
like something
shoe.
that it doesn't look like someone went and
No,
took shots
it
of your
looks
car. It looks like something you buy in
unbelievable.
a store or something professional.
So you are very talented in that, which is cool that you kind of mix both of your passions together
yeah.
And it's
and to
funny.
create something big.
And the funny thing about that shoot, like, I didn't really think anything of it. Like, Philip just invited me out.
It was last minute in a
Was
garage.
that the first time we kind of met?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Was it? No.
Maybe.
It could. I don't know, bro. We've known. I don't know.
Maybe you two. I don't know.
I knew you probably before that for sure, but it was definitely like early on when we
It
met.
was early on to where,
But
like,
we met up in a garage like late
that
at night
2019?
weekday and took photos.
I don't know.
That's scary to think about. That was fucking almost
I don't
5 years
know.
now.
No.
I think it was before that. I think it was 2018.
Yeah. Wow.
2018 or 2019.
Dang.
Damn, that's a long time.
I
ago.
know.
It's
what the
weird.
heck is
Yeah.
going on?
But yeah, no, either way, I didn't think really of think of anything with the situation. Philip just let me know, like, hey, you wanna shoot the RS and in the parking structure, get some photos of it? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, I was like, sure, I'll come out.
Yeah. That was cool though too, because we got some photos with your car in it. I still have them
Yeah.
on my phone.
Oh right, yeah,
think-
my car was there.
That's when we were doing
Look
the
at
whole
this.
V
Look at my
whips.
screensaver.
Yep.
Look,
Yep.
guys.
See,
That's
Yeah.
sick.
This is one of the photos he took.
Just
and I,
check.
still
I
have
was
it.
pretty proud of that set of photos,
That
just
was
because
really
it
cool.
did look very cinematic in a way, to where it was just the lighting of the structure, and obviously the car was. It kind of made it easy for me in a way.
For sure.
They go perfect in the basement. They're sick.
Dude, it looks sick in the
But
basement.
yeah, the photography, that was a big aspect that stemmed with the whole car side of things, and that's without the car photography side, like, I wouldn't have known a lot of the people I knew. I wouldn't have progressed further, because even after the reveal of the car, like, I did shoot with a lot of other photographers and like selectively post certain content, because I still wanted to try to be as much of content is like from me shooting it. But like a lot of the stuff was me shooting it, content wise. And yeah, I just kept on growing, kept on doing my thing.
Getting that dopamine.
Talk about all the likes. You start getting all that
still,
stuff.
even in that stage of things, I wasn't doing it for the likes or anything. I was just doing it because, like, I enjoyed, like, hanging out with my friends, shooting cars, hanging out with my buddies and having them shoot the car, going to car shows, to where at that time, that's when I was actually more confident bringing it out to car shows. And where, like, I took, like, third VW and, like, stuff like that at shows, which it was super cool to me. Even, like, I wasn't trophy hunting or trying to get that attention, or I was just a kid just enjoying myself as much as I could, and meeting new people and everything like that. And yeah, from there it developed into the next version of the build, which was the V3 setup, still wide body and everything, but I went back to white, added like crazier aero, the camber, the stretch tires. Like,
I remember
it was a pretty extreme kind of setup.
when you started bringing it to shows. Did you notice like the car just getting more and more attention after each version?
Oh yeah.
Like the crowds, the camera people
yeah.
coming up, but you walking around the show, it's a unique thing when you talk about kind of having a big following in the car scene, because no one knows who gets out of the car if you get out and no one sees you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool because your car gets all these likes, your car gets all these views, but people don't know who you are.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a matter of the cool car. And a lot of time, like shows and stuff, like when meeting people for the first time, everybody knows the car. So when meeting new people, they're like, oh, that's your car?
Yeah.
And then people put the face to the car. So that's like a common interaction within kind of the car world. People recognize you with the car, and then they put the face to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, and and the next version of it, that's kind of when it went to another level, to where that's what started Typical.
Typical is crazy.
So Typical was started with the V3 version, to where when revealing the car, I had this idea, because so backtrack a little bit. Even before the V3 reveal, even like when the car was blue, I've always been about like positivity and posting up positive messages, to where like I always posted up like quotes and positive
I wanted
stuff
to get
on,
into
like,
that too.
on my story, and always doing that. And fast forward to the V3 reveal, I wanted to add these bumper stickers on my rear bumper, which read "Prevent sadness, inspire happiness," as that's a message that I thought of, and like I kind of put on myself to try to stick to and always remember, and like keep that as a reminder to me. So the whole motive with the bumper stickers was it would be a self reminder to myself every time I see the car. Every time I see those stickers on the car, it would be a self reminder to prevent sadness, inspire happiness.
People got that tatted on them.
About like 17, 18 people.
No way.
Yeah.
It went crazy.
Yeah.
I saw it, bro.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like,
It went crazy. People in Germany,
yeah.
Norway,
all around the world.
everywhere.
And what is that like for you, seeing something that
Yeah.
like inspired you that much, inspiring people enough to have them
Well,
permanently
first,
tat
like
it?
I wanted to be the first to tat it
Yeah,
on
I'm sure,
myself,
yeah.
which I haven't yet. I still need to.
You got to get it
But
big.
no, it was crazy. The first time, somebody just DMs me. He DMs me a photo of the tat, and I'm just like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, like mind blown.
That's permanent. Yeah. Are you serious?
What if you
And
saw
he
your
was like,
face
yeah,
on
dude,
it?
like this message, like it's heartfelt. Like this means a lot to me. And that's when I realized that actually like how much of an impact I was meaning towards other people. Like the quotes, that the prevent inspire message, all that, like it meant something and people were inspired and it helped them. And
Weren't you doing some donations also?
I was. So that's
I remember
that's when I started the company.
Yeah.
And was starting to sell merch and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So shortly after the reveal of the V3 setup, people were like, how do I get those bumper stickers? I want to run those bumper stickers. I want that message on my car. I like that. So that's when I was like, business idea. Let's do this. And I was like, this could be a way to actually like start something of my own, which I've always wanted to start something of my own, because at the time I was helping run a custom cycling apparel company, and it was just him and I running the company. So I was already in the kind of the small business world and getting the idea. So I was like, why can't I do something of my own? So that's what stemmed the idea of doing pretty much a clothing company, which was Typical. So
I have your shirts.
it started with
I wore it the other day.
Like the first drop, it was shirts, hoodies, and stickers. And of course, the main thing that a lot of people bought were the bumper stickers. So I launched the same bumper stickers that I had on the car. And
What was the
able to
weirdest
sell.
interaction you've ever had with a like person at a car show? With like they don't know you, but they know your car.
I don't know,
fade.
man.
It's probably Kobe walking up to you
Yeah.
or something.
There,
Probably me.
He's
yeah.
like, I've been watching you since I was 14.
like sign my shirt.
like I've signed stuff, like I've taken photos with people. I've sent like a video audio to this parent's kids.
That's cool.
like a little
Have
like,
you ever been?
hi so and so, like thanks for the support, like that type of thing. So like I've done like nothing necessarily like weird.
Okay. Have you ever been standing next to your car and people don't know it's your car and
Oh, I
they're
love
talking
it.
shit?
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Like I've overheard people like judging it or stuff
And
like
they
that.
don't know.
Oh, they don't know, but I'm just like
Just sitting there laughing.
So, and like even on the flip side, like I've also like people admiring it or
For sure.
complimenting it, and like sometimes like I enjoy staying back so they don't know who I am.
So cool.
They don't know it's my car.
Watch them
and me just
experience.
watching them, and I've even like joined into people's conversations talking about the car and them not knowing it's my car, and I don't say it's my car, but I just joined into the conversation just to carry it on, and because it's with me in like those situations, it's not about trying to get my little fame and make them know that it's my car. It's just about making people smile and happy and getting positivity out them, because that's what stemmed things so much with the messages and typical and everything. It's how should I say it? As cheesy as this is, the kind of motive I have with my life and like a reason why I think I'm here is to try to help people in a way to, if I could make one person smile a day or help them see some type of positivity during the day, or help them in any way I can during their day to make it better or anything like that, to try to help others in a positive demeanor. And like I still think that like that's my motive, and that's what I try to push after day in, day out, is just how can I bring light to other people in a way of laughter, smile, positivity.
That was the most beautiful
Yeah.
thing someone's ever said in that chair.
You got me tearing up over here, man.
That was great.
You're making
Man,
me-
wasn't
I love
done,
that.
dude.
What?
No, I'm just saying.
That was fantastic. So, I'm sorry. That was beautiful.
took Kobe's breath
Kobe
away.
almost cried, so you have to say something.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't
man.
almost cry, but I'm thinking, you know what? Starting tomorrow, I'm going to try to do the
Everybody's
same.
got to live like that.
I love
It's-
making people laugh. I love making people smile, but I'm going to start kind of going out of my way to do that, because I think there's so much like craziness going on in the world. And if we can all just be together, one another, and just make each other smile and laugh and love each other, I think the
Yeah.
world would be a greater place.
It's
Yep.
a perfect message, and it's cool how it like intertwines with what you're doing and stuff.
It's everybody has their own demons. Everybody has their own struggle. You never know what somebody else is going through. So, and throughout the years, like even on my side of things, towards hate towards me of like what I do and stuff like that, I've gotten plenty of hate against what I've been trying to do with the car and everything there.
That's what I was going to get into.
To where, especially with social media, people are way too quick to hate, way too quick to say things that they shouldn't say, and they don't even know who they're saying it to. They don't know what that person is going through, if it's bad or good, or if they're literally fighting for their life for any reason, or depression or anything like that. Like there's big issues that like people are going through, but they keep to themselves, which they should. It's privacy, which everybody has the right to, but it's something where you shouldn't necessarily judge somebody, hate on somebody, or anything like that, because you don't know who they are. You don't know what they're going through, and it's something that we learned as kids going to elementary school. It's treat others the way you want to be treated. And too many people are treating others in a way that they wouldn't want to be treated just because they can.
There's
or
no
because
consequence.
There's no like a keyboard warrior type of stuff with social media. There's no repercussions. There's no emotion. 99% of people, what they say online, they wouldn't say to somebody's face.
Because there's no altercation.
No, there's no emotion. They don't see the reaction out of that other person right in front of them.
It's easy to react.
It is easy
Super
to react.
easy.
And
We've seen some hate on this.
No, well, I've noticed
and
when
people
videos
don't get out and sit on this and talk and get out there in front of camera, people are scared to do that.
yeah,
And also, going back to what you're saying about treating people kindly, treating people nice, you can walk past someone in your time, whether it's at your job, at your school, whoever's watching this, whatever you do for your day-to-day, at the gym, and you have no clue what that person is going through. They can be a stranger. So all you can do is be a good person. You can say hello. You can smile at them because you literally have no idea what they're going through at the time.
2 good words that I live by. Well, one is kind of just like a cool word, and then one is one that I like actually live by. First word is the cool word. It's sonder, which means that it's not direct definition, but everybody else has their own unique life. And when you realize that, it puts it into perspective that there are millions and millions and millions of people out there, and everybody lives their own unique life, has their own unique problems, has their own wins and their own losses. Every person you walk by on the street, driving in your car, everywhere, is a unique individual that has their own crazy, complex life. The second word is empathy. It's something that a lot of people lack, especially nowadays with social media.
I do,
because
for sure. I'll be honest. I do sometimes. I'm being honest. I lack that for sure.
It's something that
100%.
can definitely be worked on. It's definitely something that is a choice. It's something that technology and social media has become a disconnect for empathy, just because it pulls emotion out of things to where what empathy is your ability to connect with somebody else's situation and feel for them, to where when you don't have a sense of empathy for somebody or a situation, it's easy for you to judge or hate on somebody because you can't necessarily connect what they're going through. When somebody else feels pain or sadness and you don't understand that and you can't feel that, somebody might be more inclined to not give a shit because they're not able to understand that.
So let's go into your big build.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
What was it, a day, a week, a month? What sparked your brain to start a project like that? Because that is one of the craziest things I've ever seen myself with cars. And I'm a huge fan of aftermarket wheels. I love wide body kits. I love all that stuff. I love cars. My dream car is an RWB Porsche.
Yeah.
That's my dream, and I'm going to get that one day. And I've told you that.
Yep.
So I'm a huge fan of that car, but watching your build just seemed like it was the craziest thing ever. And we talk about people not understanding, but people judging. Mm-hmm. I saw thousands of comments when you started this build of people being super supportive in the beginning, and then months go by, and there's just keyboard warriors texting, "Why aren't you done?
Stop
what are you
posting
doing?
the same stuff. Like, just finish it already. I would have been finished in 2 months."
Just crazy.
Oh, I could go on and on.
So tell me about first.
So where it started.
Tell me about that first. Hey guys, yes, I'm on a private jet, and none of this would be possible without our sponsor, Zill Media. If you need any social media or any content done, or even start a podcast like ours, they are the best in the business. Go to zillmedia.com and mention Basement Talk for a discount on their services. Now let's get back to the episode. Let's get off this fake jet.
Go get back to the episode.
Pretty much like where it started and that.
Yeah,
where that
how did that
stemmed.
stem for you?
So that version of V3, because this goes back a little bit. This was a matter of like 4.5 years ago. So during the V3 build, I go out to a Formula Drift show in Long Beach where they do like a little show thing. They bring show cars out to the Formula Drift show and everything. And in that show, there was something new, and it was called a SEMA Young Guns regional event. And I just went for the show, and then I just was like, so be it, and entered that like regional event because I was like, might as well, right?
But in the show, you were a host, no?
No.
Okay.
So this was pretty much a regional event, and the winner of the regional event would get a golden ticket, fully expense paid trip to SEMA to bring their car and to compete as a young gun builder to SEMA. Going into that, like that day at Formula Drift and the regional event, I didn't know what SEMA was. Like, I had no clue of the industry side of things. I was just some kid that had a cool car, brought it out of car shows and hung out with friends. That's it. So going into that regional event, I was against like some pretty cool cars. Like one of which was a Tesla swapped RWB.
I saw one of those.
Wait,
It was the white
Yeah.
one.
I saw that.
Yeah. So like I was up against some pretty sweet cars.
I heard some crazy stuff this week too, actually, about them trying to do, hold your thought 1 second, but them trying to do like Tesla swapped Gunther Works and like Singer Porsches.
Yeah.
That's like a thing now.
Yeah. Which
It's kind of weird.
I'd
but-
rather see crazy hybrid swaps over full EV swaps.
God damn it.
Which we could touch on that
yeah.
after because I
Yeah.
got some ideas for the future. But,
Okay.
But yeah, that regional event, it was 10 cars competing, had professional judges, everything. Like it was a SEMA regional event, and I ended up winning it, and got the golden ticket. And like even at that point, it didn't really set in like what I necessarily won. I was just like, SEMA, like I get to take my car to SEMA, like this is crazy. And that was in April. Fast forward to SEMA, SEMA 2019. First time at SEMA, was able to bring my car there, compete as a young gun. Like I didn't like place into the top 10 or anything like that. Like at that point, like I had a real hard reality check that like my car wasn't really that crazy compared to the stuff at SEMA, which like I was totally fine with. I understood like it was still a stock motor. It's not like I put it down to bare chassis or anything like that. It was a really bolt-on build at that point. It's
your first time out
bags,
there, too.
wheels, wrap, wide, like it was pretty basic. But it was my experience that I got out of that time to where the bug bit me. The bug really bit me to where it was my first time at SEMA, my first time seeing Toyo Tread Pass and experiencing that.
I get chills actually
And-
right now because Toyo is just the craziest cars ever.
So that experience, that first time at SEMA, first time on Toyo Tread Pass, that's when I was like, I need to do a new version of the GTI. I need to bring it back to SEMA, and I need it on Toyo Tread Pass.
When did you say that?
2019.
Holy shit.
When I was at SEMA that year experiencing it for the first time, that's the like immediately I already started what's next. What's the next dream? What's the next
Would
vision?
you say the Toyo Tread Pass is the best spot to be in at SEMA?
In my opinion,
Because
yeah,
that's what I've heard from multiple people.
It's, in my opinion, the amount of foot traffic it gets, the amount of media exposure it gets, the quality that's on Tread
They
Pass.
have the best birds too.
Shout out the birds at
They're fire though. The Toyo girls
Kobe
are
would
fire.
make a car just for the birds.
No, I wouldn't. But
he
yeah.
would.
4 years later, huh? You made it.
Yeah, so that's where kind of that dream, that vision stemmed from. And for the first 2 years after that, the car didn't change. I was just working. I was working at the shop, and just grinding that away.
What was that shop called again?
Rad Rides.
I remember that.
Yeah. So I was just grinding away, working. Wasn't really doing anything to the GTI. And then I left there. And then I started working for Next Level.
Yep.
When I started working there, hours were better. Like it was just it was more enjoyable for me to where it was less stressful, less pressure, stuff like that, and it was an enjoyable work environment. Be able to come home by 5:30.
I remember that job you had before you were there, like 12, 13-hour days.
Yeah,
Like every
And
day.
it was just stressful work and everything like that. So, but learned a lot from that, and it definitely it had its benefits. But yeah, working at Next now, it opened the door for me to now put time into the GTI. And that was a matter of 2.5 years ago. And that's when I slapped foam on the car and just went away shaping at it. So,
but like, where did you just
Did you look
started
up a YouTube?
No,
Yeah.
you started
Yeah, no, I did.
stenciling it, or like
so
YouTube, or like what
the
was that a
idea-
week
so-
before?
So before, it was kind of like within the month before, I was like figuring out how do I do this, because I was like, okay, now's the time. I need to do this wide body.
But you
Like,
had the vision.
I've always had the vision of creating a wide body for the car. In terms of exactly how it looked, I didn't I had kind of inspiration cues and kind of ideas in my head of kind of what I wanted, but until I started shaping it, that's like, I did it all off the dome. Like, I didn't have a sketch or anything. I just started shaping the foam and changing it, adding it, changing it, adding it, how I wanted it to look like, until I got to a point where it was pretty much kind of the shape and overall design that I wanted.
So let's talk about you then getting all the love.
Yeah.
You're starting it. People are freaking out. Did you know starting it that it would take as long as it took?
No. So when I started it, I was like, I'm going to have this done in a couple months. And initially it was, okay, I'm going to shape this out of foam. I'm going to replicate it with foam on the other side. I'm going to pop molds off of it and have a one-off kit. And it was just going to be a one-off kit just for my car. And it wasn't going to be anything. It was just going to be, again, just flare, like bolt-on flares. It wasn't going to be like a full crazy kit. No bumpers, nothing. And then it just kept snowballing to where I kept adding more to the kit because I wasn't content. I kept on having this vision of how I want it to be. So that's when I was like, it needs full bumpers, front and rear. Like, it can't just be flares.
How many like sleepless nights did you have
during that
'Cause that was
process?
crazy.
Not really. Like, it was just consistent.
So you're
work.
getting home
So,
at like 5?
Getting
and
home
then-
at 5:30 and like work until 9 or 10. Because when I was doing that, everything was being done outside on my driveway. So
I know.
So I couldn't necessarily do anything super late. At some nights I went pretty late, but like I try not to use like power tools like
What
the
did your
sander and
neighbors
stuff.
do? Were they looking at you all
Yeah,
funny?
even the foam. I was gonna ask you that about the foam going everywhere. Like, was it a mess?
I had to keep this vacuum on standby, and like
I'm sure.
always cleaning up and making sure it wasn't too much of it. Like, it did make a mess, but I had to be proactive with cleaning stuff up and everything. But the neighbors, that was funny because like, but also really cool because I have plenty of neighbors that like walk their dogs in the neighborhood, and over the months they saw the progress happening, and like they were stopping, chatting with
that's
me,
cool.
and like even people driving by like stopping and saying like, nice job. Like, I live in a good neighborhood, I
Yeah,
have to say.
that's
Like,
good.
I'm
That's really cool.
glad. And I'm glad that nobody like called the city and like complained, because it was like every night going to town on it. And it was a sight to see. It was literally like foam and Bondo just for months and months on the driveway.
It's crazy.
So when did you start getting these like haters? How many months in?
So I started the process. That was, what is it? That was August.
Because me, your boy, seeing it like away from you doing it, there was like thousands of comments, like thousands and thousands and thousands of like people like just saying crazy shit.
You used to be
Yeah.
able to see our comments. It was just like we get buried if
We
we
got
say
buried,
anything.
yeah, but like there was some bunch of crazy stuff. Like, talk about how long that in the process that was.
Yeah, so the shaping started 2.5 years ago in August. And then I was posting and stuff, but stuff wasn't really like blowing up or anything like that. And then I think it was like a month or two in or something. Like at that time I was like posting more on TikTok and like here and there posting on Instagram. And my TikTok was blowing up. Like it was getting a lot of traction on TikTok. To where like, yeah, followers, likes, like stuff was going viral, which was pretty crazy. And like they had their own things to say, and like not a matter of like finish it already, more so in the sense of like that's gonna look like shit.
Yeah.
So I got plenty of like those style stuff. And then like December, January, I was like, I'm gonna start making reels, because reels at the time were like fairly new, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And like people were using it, but I was like, new Instagram shit. I don't give a shit. But then I was like, sure, start using reels. And that's when the Instagram started blowing up. After I started using reels to document the foam shaping process and everything on Instagram. So now it was the combination of both TikTok and Instagram, both going viral, both having a bunch of people going after it. And it was a long process. Took months, like, because at the time of March, April, May, June, like it was still in that process of things. So people were just like, why is this taking so long, and this and that?
Do the comments ever get to you?
They did at certain points, because it's tough. As much as you want to try to train yourself to like not get affected, when you read it and it gets into your mind,
it creeps in you.
It no matter how strong or mentally strong you are, it still affects you in some type of way.
Still think about it.
You still think about it, because especially when it's something that you have so much personal attachment towards, like building this car. If somebody says something hateful,
yeah,
dude,
can crush it. Did you ever turn it to motivation, like on the other side, where it kind of made you like want to work on it a little more or anything like that?
It made me want to prove them wrong.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to say.
Doubt.
100%.
And a lot of this, like the comments where it's like, that looks like shit, you're never gonna finish it, this and that. No, I will.
Yeah.
And it's gonna look fucking badass.
Just wait.
Was there though like a small like thing in your head that's like, fuck, should I just like stop?
Plenty of times.
Okay.
Plenty of times. Yeah. No, there's been plenty of times where it's just like
nights where you're
I was like, there was times where I was still at the point where I could just like trash the project and just go back to the previous wide body and this and that. Like plenty of times I was just like, this is stupid. What am I doing? Like, this is unrealistic. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is way more than I thought it would be. Like, maybe doing this level of car stuff isn't cut out for me. Maybe it's not my thing. Maybe
was
I can't
it ever
do this.
because it was too much work, or maybe you wanted to be doing it on a different car?
Never on a different car. It was never about that. It was mainly about how intensive the work was becoming in terms of what needed to be done. Yeah, it just kept on developing and snowballing to where it's like the wide body project. Yeah, it just ended up being a lot more than what I thought it would actually be 2.5 years ago. Which, don't get me wrong, like, I'm glad I kept on going through it, obviously. But I get plenty of people that are inspired by what I do and what I did, and they're like, I'm going to start a wide body company. I want to do exactly what you did. Which, power to them, and I respect like the want to do that, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to shoot it down, but I want to make it clear to a lot of people that have that vision. It's a lot. I wouldn't have been able to do it with certain people involved. The network I have, the situation I'm in, to where it's like I technically live at home. So I don't have certain responsibilities that a lot of other people do. I don't have kids. I don't have those responsibilities. So my situation, in a way, was a good situation for doing something like that. I'm not made of money, so it's like I wasn't necessarily well off or can afford all of this necessarily. So it's like I didn't really have that going for myself that maybe some other people do. But at the same time, it's I don't want people to necessarily go down a path that they're not necessarily ready for, to where I wasn't ready for it, but I at least had certain things that allowed me to make it happen.
How far down the process did you get down to where companies started reaching out to you, seeing, holy shit, this car is going to be crazy? So they wanted to get involved with you, the brand deals.
So a lot of the brand deals and sponsorship stuff was all me, like in terms of me reaching out and pitching myself.
So did they get on the phone with you, or how did that work?
So a lot of them, I networked, found out who the right people to talk to.
Because your vision, was it separate to what you already, sponsors and brand deals you already had?
So the wide body came first. The rest of the build, the sponsor, that came like this past February when I started the actual build process.
Okay, so that must have been
a
grind.
The past like from 2.5 years to this past February, that the only focus was the wide body.
But still, February to SEMA, that's a long amount of time. But still, like,
not if you think about
Probably
it,
not in
for the
comparison to
extent
the-
of the build,
that's true.
that's
But still-
like 8-9 months, which a lot of people, they start a year or a year prior with a full caliber build like this. And I didn't necessarily have a full, like, it's not like I have my own shop and
So
full
tell
team and
us
stuff
how
like that.
tell us how you started reaching out after you got your car, like all set up on the wide body.
So the wide body process was developing and coming into effect. And mind you, one piece of information, not this past year, but the year before, I was trying to get my car to last year's SEMA. And last year, what was it? July, I made the call to call it off. Cause like I was full on like trying to get the car to SEMA at that time, but it just, at that point, it was just completely unrealistic. Like I didn't technically start the prototype process of bringing like a actual functioning prototype for the wide body yet. The interior was stripped, motor still needed to be swapped, all that type of stuff. And that was by July. So I was pretty naive at that stage, but I'm glad I made the call to call it off that and give myself an extra year, because the car would have been a completely different car if I tried to do it that past year.
It would have been missing stuff.
It wouldn't have been anything near what it is now.
Were you posting on social about it too? Because I remember.
Yeah, I made a post, and it was a tough post to make. I was pretty sad, and like after I made that call, because the reason why I really needed to make that call is right after I made that call to call it off for that year SEMA, I left for 2 weeks to go back to Hungary for a family vacation, which I didn't want to go on that vacation and have the thought lingering, I need to finish this car. I have so much to do. Because that trip meant so much to me, because it's family. It's going back to Hungary, seeing family
roots.
and everything. It's something that I wanted to fully be there on the trip back to Hungary and not have that in the back of my mind lingering, and that stress and that worry. So I called it off so that way I could fully be there on the trip and enjoy it as much as I can, which I did completely.
Good.
And I'm glad I made that call. But coming back here after I made that, like, and at this point, mind you, the month before that in June, I quit Next Level. So I quit my job. And that's how committed I was to getting the car ready for last year's SEMA. Quit my job, and I was like, I'm going to make this happen. A month after that, I called it, and I was just like, I won't be able to make it to this year's SEMA. I have to wait another year and give it another year.
It's a big jump.
So coming back from Hungary, jobless, having to wait another year to next year SEMA, have a car to build. I'm like, what do I do? And I kind of went into a fairly depressive state for a couple months. So like the rest of August, September, October, like I was pretty down. Like, and I was like doing stuff kind of impulse. Like I impulsively bought 2 cars because I was like, these will fix my problems. These will make me happier. One of them was a catfish situation to where car shows up and it's a piece of shit. So I just try to make my money back and just sell it.
Yeah. I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't a piece of shit, but
I
it was
remember
not
something that happened.
it was not what I expected and what the seller told me what it was. And then the second car was the second Trabant, which I'm so glad I bought that because that way the clean one that I have just lives in the garage and I don't have to worry about driving that. The second one's the driver and I enjoy driving.
Good.
Like I rip that thing around.
I love it.
Free, like careless.
Good.
Not careless, but like I
You
rip
can,
it.
yeah.
Not thinking about it.
I'm glad I picked that thing up, even though it was fairly impulse.
Next wide body project.
Shh.
Either way.
But yeah, then come like December, January, it clicked like need to get on it. Time's ticking. Need to figure this out, and that's also the time when Roy, who was my boss at Rad Rides, he left Rad Rides and now started his own shop. So I rekindled with him and worked out something with him to where he allowed me to pretty much build my GTI for SEMA out of his shop.
What a nice
So
guy.
that was the next golden ticket for me. Without that, without him offering and allowing me to build the GTI and have it out of his shop, without that, I wouldn't have been able to continue because you can't do necessarily the caliber I did. Well, some crazy person would end up doing it, but like you can't do what like this high caliber of build on a driveway outside. Yeah. You can't.
No way.
And not in my neighborhood, because it's like I stripped the car down to bare chassis, and you can't be working on necessarily bare metal stuff outside,
especially in a neighborhood. Yeah,
and but it's just rust and corrosion when you deal with bare metal. Yeah. And like I was like taking the angle grinder and grinding for like hours on days.
Your neighbors are hella
2
nice.
a.m. in the shop. To where in the shop, it's a business complex. You can do whatever you want till however late you want. So it was fine. But yeah, that was kind of the golden ticket, which without that, like without being able to work out of Roy's shop,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And
That's so cool.
what's his shop called now?
Dirty Work Garage.
Dirty Work Garage.
Huntington.
Shout out. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so without being able to have that, it wouldn't have been able to gone forward.
So in January, February, your body kit was done.
No. So
Oh God.
No, so
It was still getting worked on, but that's when you started reaching out to the sponsors?
yes. So
Who was
in
like-
February,
Okay.
that's when I took the GTI from my house to the shop. And that's when the build technically commenced, to where that's when I started building out the build plan, what I wanted to do, and still continuing work on the wide body and bringing the wide body to life, to where that took months even after that, to where we didn't technically have the 3D printed prototypes until like July. So there was still months of work being done on the wide body, all while doing all the build stuff too. So yeah, that's when, and like right away, got the car in, stripped the whole interior, pulled the engine out, got it down to bare chassis, started working on all the chassis work. So pretty much removing any unnecessary brackets, like literally stripping it down. Like I drilled out like 400 spot welds out of that chassis to remove brackets and everything.
Damn.
Like unnecessary stuff, like stripping everything. And also at that time, starting the reaching out to sponsorships. or reaching out to companies in terms of partnerships, sponsorships, whatever word you want to use with that. And the biggest thing was like I took a solid like 2 weeks building my pitch deck, my proposals for these companies. So it's like I didn't necessarily just write an email or a Word doc that just had a couple paragraphs saying like, I got a following, I got a cool car, like, could you give me parts? No. It was, I really spent the time to be as professional as possible to where I built like a full pitch deck, which if you're familiar with pitch decks, it's not just word paragraphs.
For our
It's-
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
it's
know how that
like
works.
very graphic design oriented, kind of in a way of like a business PowerPoint pitching yourself.
Gives
to
a
where
visual along with
a
it.
lot of visual, eye catching, because that's what you want to try to do to these businesses. You need to have what you're pitching set apart from what other people are trying to pitch them to, because there's plenty of other people that are trying to do the same thing as you. Why are you different? Like, how are you going to be a benefit to these companies? And you need to show that in the best way possible. You need to be visual. You need to have all your information in line. You need to be engaging. So it's like I had renders in the pitch deck. I had my analytics. I had explaining certain things of like why I would be a benefit, like the
So
importance.
did you,
everything.
like, for example, what was like the first sponsorship or partnership that came to mind for you? Who was like the one company that you would love to have join your vision? Who was that company?
I can't really pick out one specific. Like at that time when I was figuring that out, I was building a list of lists of companies for each part I needed.
And how many of the companies said no?
Well, they might not say no. They might just not reply.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Yeah,
I
but that's
had
a no.
I had a handful of companies that they replied, because like I wasn't just sending an email and just waiting for a response. Like if I didn't get a response, I would call in and actually get somebody on the phone and talk to them and be like, hey, I sent this in a week ago. Do you mind having somebody taking a look at it or something? A couple companies, like after weeks of like every week following up, like, hey, you have an update on my proposal. After a certain point of like 3 follow-ups, that's when I just called it and I was just like, okay, that's a dead end. But with the business plan of all these sponsorships, I had plan A, plan B, plan C companies. So it's not like I just had one company in line for this specific part. I had plan B, plan C, all lined up to where if they wouldn't work, I would be able to reach out to the next company. And you kind of have to do that, because you can't expect every company that you want to work with you. In a way, sometimes you have to be a little bit realistic in a way, to where sometimes it works like that, sometimes it doesn't. Also, sometimes not every company necessarily will be able to offer you exactly what you want.
Would you say it helps a lot knowing people?
Definitely. Having a solid network and knowing the right people definitely helps. There's a handful of companies to where if I didn't have some mutual connections and know certain people, I wouldn't have necessarily been connected to the right people to talk to within those companies. So having a proper network and knowing the right people does help. But then again, a lot of the companies were cold call situations to where they didn't know me, I didn't know them. I was just pretty much pitching myself the best I possibly can to them, to sell to them in a way, because you're technically selling what you could offer them in exchange for product. So you have to be able to really offer something that's valuable to them and they see value in, for them to give you product in exchange for that. So a lot of people don't realize that with sponsorship. They think that it's, oh, I'll make a post and then you give me free stuff. No, it doesn't. It's business. It really is. Like if you can't have proper return of investment given to these companies, what makes you think that they're going to give you $2,000 worth of product when you can't even provide an example that'll provide them $2,000 worth of product or
100%.
of return of investment back. Because ideally, they want more than 2,000 ROI back. They want at least 2 to 3 times.
For
that.
sure. At least.
So how can you give them that? And that's where you're going to be able to need to show them examples why you're of a benefit, why you're unique. Because there's plenty of people that have 100,000 followers and that have a cool car, and that could show these companies that. So you have to show them what makes you unique.
So when you're like talking to these companies, for people out there watching that are trying to get sponsorships, what do these companies expect you to do on a contract?
Yeah, what do they look for?
Like
So-
certain amount of posts or
Some companies are like very lenient and like very open to where some companies there's no contracts.
Okay.
It's just word of mouth of like sending a proposal and then being like, sure, let's do it. And then product sent or an agreement is set up and it's nothing contractual. Then there are certain companies that are contractual to where you need to meet certain deliverables that company assigns for whatever they're giving. So certain posts, events, like it's all dependent on the company, what they're offering, everything. But a lot of the bigger companies are companies that might be able to offer more support in terms of a higher monetary value of what they're able to give you. They're most likely going to do something contractual and have a certain set of deliverables to keep track that you are actually following, delivering those things.
wow.
So there's behind the scenes stuff regarding it that people don't realize when it comes to higher level stuff where it's like, oh, that car just has a bunch of free stuff and companies just no, there's plenty of
There's always
things
a story behind everything.
There's
Well, and
plenty
there's always
that
art
that
that goes into
person
everything
has
type of
to accomplish.
Yeah.
Or else, for example, if my car didn't make it to SEMA, let's just say like easily over 40, 50K would have had to been owed overall. If the car didn't make it to SEMA.
A lot of pressure for you too.
Definitely.
Crazy.
Jeez.
Definitely. And just think, like, I don't have 50 grand.
Yeah. The only way that comes is if
Yeah.
you make it to that thing, and if you're
So it's like there was literally no choice. Was the car needed to be at SEMA? So like finished, unfinished, however it was gonna be, that car was going to be at the SEMA show. no
crazy
matter
commitment.
So how do you get your car on Toyo's track?
So
That's crazy. That's
I've-
like a dream of mine one day.
I've been kind of putting the bug into Toyo's ear for a couple years because, like, as I said, I wanted the car to go last year SEMA, and I wanted to be on Toyo Tread Pass last year SEMA.
But who's the Toyo guy? You know, the like.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like I've been kind of emailing him for past like 2.5 years, 2 years of like wanting the car to be on Tread Pass and showing him updates and stuff like that. So yeah, this past year, sending him the pitch and the idea of the build and what's going on. He saw the vision, and it's well, at first with Tread Pass is a funky situation. A lot of booths at SEMA, they'll pick your car and like you'll be confirmed like a year in advance. Tread Pass doesn't select cars until like a month or two before SEMA.
What?
That's weird.
So that whole time from February,
You
forward,
still are like.
I had no confirmation and set booth of where my car would be at SEMA because I was putting all my eggs in the basket of the car will be on Tread Pass. But Tread Pass doesn't confirm until like September.
Oh wow.
So mind you, I was pitching myself to all these companies saying the car will be at SEMA and I'm trying to get on Tread Pass, but it's not confirmed.
And you have no idea whether it's going to be
A lot of
confirmed.
companies want booth confirmation of where the car will be confirmed.
That's tricky.
before they give any product or lock down anything. So I don't know how I did it, but the amount of sponsors and reputable companies that I'm able to work with, and at the time lock down the partnerships with, without technically having an on paper confirmation that my car will technically be at SEMA,
That's nutty.
was interesting. And it put a lot of pressure on me because it's like, I technically wasn't on Tread Pass. I technically wasn't confirmed for that. I technically didn't have a confirmed spot at SEMA, but I knew in my head that the car was going to be at SEMA. Happen. Like it was going to, like, no matter what, I will find a way to get the car at SEMA. But I wanted Tread Pass. I wanted to make that a reality because that's what was the dream.
When did they say yes? They
September.
Emailed you and said, we'll do it?
Well, like over the months, I was periodically giving updates and asking like, hey, just wanted to like see if there's an update on the situation. Here's the update on my end with the build. And yeah, it came down to, I think it was start of September or end of August, sent an update in, and pretty much it was a matter of he was like, let's reveal it on Tread Pass. It's all good.
How was that feeling?
Oh man, I was like
Over the moon.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
That was like an extra burst to get that thing done.
Yeah.
Probably
You
had a
were
weight
stoked.
lifted off your shoulders.
All those emotions.
It relieved a lot of weight, but then it added different weight because now the pressure was on. Like, I can't F this up because you don't want to burn those types of bridges when you have those opportunities.
Got to the big leagues now.
Because
the big leagues.
Yeah.
Like how I envision it, like
the Premier League
Tread
of
Pass
cars.
is an elite type of opportunity. Not everybody has the opportunity to reveal a car on Tread Pass.
That's like my dream.
And if you have the opportunity to reveal a car on Tread Pass, you better not F it up.
Dude.
Kobe, you wide bodied your whole body the last 3 years. You can reveal yourself, dude.
Bro, that was so uncalled for.
Oh, dude.
What the fuck was that
You were
for?
cooking him up. You were cooking him up. You set a false dream like 3 times. He had to get you.
How is that a false dream? Bro, I've been telling you I want to buy a wide-bodied Porsche.
Wide
I
body
know
yourself, dude.
I want to do it.
You did not have to
What
do
the
that.
fuck, bro? I've been hitting the gym.
You look like a Lambo Urus.
Jesus.
That's crazy, bro. Dude, I
No,
swear,
wide body.
every
Wide body
episode, dude, every episode, you guys know this is, I don't know how many episodes in we are now. We're like deep into our season right now. And
Wait, from the first episode to now, do you see the wide body progressing?
no, bro, I've gotten
Kobe
skinnier.
actually cut it down.
Dude, I lost like 8 pounds.
Yeah, no, he's been grinding. But hey, would you have been grinding as hard as you are if you didn't make these comments on the podcast?
I don't care about him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, dude.
I don't care if
he
you're
just threw
talking
a
about
fit
my
about it.
body.
He doesn't care.
I don't care about what other people will think about my body.
We're just motivating you. That's all.
Yeah, whatever.
Let the haters fuel you.
Yeah,
man.
It's all
exactly.
good, bro.
Look
I
where it
know I
got
have a
him.
barrel. I still got a girl.
Whoa.
Cap.
Yo.
Dude,
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, don't make fun of my barrel.
Okay.
respect the barrel.
Okay.
So back to like the Toyo stuff. Other than the best showcase in SEMA, I would say, as a lot of people would say, what are some of the other perks that you get being on that? Like, how's the buffet and stuff? I'm not trying to call myself fat, but
No, there's no like buffet or anything.
There's no buffet. It's perfect, Kobe.
So it's not like.
but
there's-
like, what are some perks like you can get from being in that section? Like meeting the other builders.
Any
Oh yeah,
chicks?
meeting the other builders. Like, there's plenty of people I met where it's like a lot of the time at SEMA for that week, I stood around the car just because you never know who's gonna walk by and see the car. To where there's a good handful of people to where if I wasn't by the car, I wouldn't have met some crucial connections.
That's
to where
good.
like I met certain connections that might allow me to ship the car to Europe for a Europe tour.
I'll go with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
And like drive the car on the Nürburgring, like stuff like that.
Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
So there's certain connections that came out of just the car being in that location and having certain eyes on it. Like multiple like the car's going to be in multiple magazines, potentially cover page stuff.
I think I read that.
Yeah.
You're getting on a magazine.
And another one as well. So it's like there's checks in line with that, and then just the media coverage that's pushed, the showcase of that booth to where how the vehicle is showcased. It showcased the vehicle perfectly. It was awesome.
Are there special lights up there or something?
Yeah. No, it's all
I
rigged
know.
up with the lighting.
Because
and
that
everything.
lighting looks the best.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm on like Instagram, and I've actually never been to SEMA.
Me either.
Like, so I'd love to go next year, but like it always looks like the best booth because the lighting looks crazy.
I like plenty of other people call it this, but I call it this as well. It's the show within a show. It really is. Because there's, I think, like 25, 26 builds in Tread Pass. And I think only 14 or 15 of them, I think, or maybe like 13 or 12 are in that inside tent area.
So are people allowed to touch your car?
No. Like, no. Shouldn't. But like there was a handful, like I saw like a couple, like there's this group from Russia that was there at SEMA, and like they were like pointing out stuff, touching stuff, and like on my rear window I have a wiper delete plug, and the plug has been in there for like the past 5 years, and I could probably re-glue it because it's been like 5 years since it's been in there, or 6 years. He started pushing on the plug to where I knew if he pushed hard enough, that plug would go through the window because it's not super strong anymore. And I saw him pushing on it, and it started pushing out like halfway. And I'm just like, dude, stop touching it. Because I was behind the behind the car,
you're probably
like,
going
watching that
probably
unfold.
going nuts.
And like he just turned around, looked at me, and he was just like, and then they scurried off. And I'm just like, what goes in your mind of like you wanting to just start poking at somebody else's car?
He's in Vegas though. He's poking everything, you know?
Just group of Russian dudes, like couldn't speak English.
Luckily they weren't from Dagestan.
They'd be rolling all over the hood.
They'd be pushing all kinds of buttons.
Like
that's crazy.
Man.
How fulfilling was the whole journey? Like right now, sitting down, everything's. I don't know. Completed, is that the right word? But
the job's not finished, but a big milestone was checked. Having the car at SEMA and how I call the prototype revealed and being able to be revealed at SEMA, that was a big milestone. And that, as cheesy as it is, it was a dream come true. It was literally what I've been dreaming and envisioning the past 4 years of where I wanted the car to be and how I wanted it to sit, even though like there's always things that kept getting added and weren't necessarily the original vision, but it just added to the vision. But it's, the jobs, like there's plenty of still, like I still have to make the production wide body kit. Like it's just the prototype still. So there's plenty of work still left to be done that like as much weight has been released off of me, there's still plenty of weight on me. Yeah. And like I've learned and have done a good job of being able to hold that weight now and learning how to. But yeah, definitely revealing the car at SEMA took off a lot of pressure, a lot of weight, and it was just a big relief as like that's been kind of the goal of what like, okay, SEMA's the SEMA goal is crossed off, so now it's the next one. But the SEMA goal needed to be crossed off before moving to the next one. So everything was all towards getting the car to SEMA and checking off that box. And like to explain kind of the months leading up to SEMA, it just kept getting crazier and crazier and crazier to where like curveballs, speed bump, like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Like literally Murphy's Law. Everything that could have went wrong with it. Like every process, like from things going over budget to things taking longer to like being behind on schedule to this curveball or this curveball. Like anything that could have happened happened.
Wow.
But just kept on having to go forward and keep pushing and problem solving to where every day there was a new problem to solve and trying to think of how to do this. Like I was living in a perpetual state of anxiety and stress for months. And like a lot of nights, just getting in and not leaving the shop until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and like literally working until I just can't work and just go home and then start over the next day. Just doing that over and over. And then, leading up to it, like the last couple months, that's kind of when it just escalated even more in terms of even longer hours and all hands on deck, everybody aboard, like putting in consistent 15-hour days, the stress, the anxiety, like everything.
I forgot to talk about this, but did you like, how's your missus?
Oh, she's good. Like
did you ever like, you still got to see her, or like, was she like, was she cut back on the hours too?
She was cut back.
She was cut back.
Wow.
She was cut back.
She must have had to be supportive.
She was probably upset.
She was supportive and patient.
Okay, good.
There were times where like she just wanted some attention.
Bro, let me tell you something. Are you guys engaged yet?
Not yet.
Okay, let me tell you something crazy. Okay, that's why I'm going to say this. Every time we have a guest on and they have a missus, after they come on the pod, they get married, bro. This is good luck. We're like the Loverboy podcast.
We're just setting you on your
but
path.
Whoa.
all of us are single, dude.
That's just you, dude.
That is true.
No,
We're
it's
all
facts
single.
though.
We are
Everyone
all
that
single.
leaves our podcast gets like engaged.
I thought you just said you had a girlfriend or something.
Bro, I have a bunch of girlfriends, like friends.
Girlfriend.
The fuck is wrong with that?
Nothing. I didn't say something's wrong with that.
Guy has a puffer on, thinks he's like Donald Trump over there.
Donald Trump, dude. What?
Whatever,
you.
bro.
Kobe's off
But
his
yeah,
rocker.
it's like weird. Every time a guest leaves that chair, like something
Oh
happens.
man.
I got to sit in that chair next week.
Don't tell Logan. She's gonna be like waiting for it now.
Get too excited.
Yeah, I don't know when our team's going to upload this, but
Maybe after the wedding.
yeah.
God, dude.
But no, she like super supportive. Like she just wanted me to go after the stream. Like she knew how bad I wanted this and how much this meant to me. To where like let's just say the last 3-4 months prior to SEMA, like we had maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 days of the month for solid hanging out.
Wow.
Dang.
Like the last month, I don't think there was one full day where we hung out for the month of October.
Dang.
Um,
She stuck it out.
like
That's a good girl.
September,
She's wifeable.
September, October. It was waking up.
My ex-girlfriend
Going-
would have dumped my ass, bro.
Oh my
real
Kobe,
quick.
it's not about you.
Okay,
man.
Oh, the thing is, she knows that too. She knows any other girl wouldn't have put up with
Yeah,
this.
dude, you're lucky.
Kobe just wants to vent about his
Enough, Kobe.
relationships and shit.
But yeah, it was constant days. Like September, October, especially the last 2 months, it was waking up, going to the shop, coming home at like 2 a.m., going to sleep, repeat, 7 days a week.
That's nutty.
Do you realize what you did, or did it kind of just happen too? Happens quick,
Like
right?
looking back at like going through some of the stuff, it's like it makes me think I did that.
Bro,
Like,
it's crazy.
I
right?
actually
Has it hit you like fully yet where you're like you can appreciate it and kind of just like are settled with it, or is it still like kind of like a
it's
in awe
still,
type
it's
of
still
thing?
pretty new to me.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's going to make me reach that limit is because we haven't got the car started yet. So once we get the car started and I could actually like drive it and hear it,
It's like real.
that's when it's going to be pure bliss.
Yeah.
But no, even then, just having the car at SEMA, seeing it like in a completed state, part of me has imposter syndrome because I look at the car and I'm like, that's not mine.
Yeah.
That I didn't do that.
It's like you're a
that
kid
doesn't
again
feel
looking
good.
at
think you
GPIs type
deserve
of
it.
thing.
It looks like
I don't,
a little hot
I don't
rod.
think I did. Like it, part of me is just like that. I couldn't have done that. Like that's not my car. Because for years prior, I've always just looked up to builds of that caliber. I never thought that something like that could actually happen to one of my builds. Even though I've always had the dreams of wanting to do something like that, now that it's reality and all that work actually got put into it and it got brought to life, it's definitely surreal. It's weird feeling.
That's good.
For sure.
Is there anything you want to say to your fans out there, your sponsors, your family, before we wrap everything up?
Yeah.
Or all the people that helped you?
Yeah, no, like everybody involved in terms of companies, the people involved help wise, like especially the last stretch of the build before SEMA, like I have to say this, like we were working on the car until 7 a.m. Monday morning, and technically the car needed to be in Vegas at 10 a.m. on Monday morning. And that was like a 35 hour straight no sleep stretch until 7 a.m. on Monday. Between like Roy, my buddy Ryan, who flew in from New York to help for a week and a half. Like weeks prior, my buddy Pat from NorCal, he flew in for a weekend to help in. Like my dad was there. My other buddy Derek was jumped in for the last like couple weeks, help like busting his ass too. Like it was all hands on deck to get the car done. And yeah, all the people involved, from Pierre Blood Motorsport, the Fab, like it would take me a minute to say, but like everybody involved, companies, people involved, it wouldn't have been possible without everybody involved.
I love it.
And then just, I wouldn't have had the strength to keep going without my family. So that's to touch on bringing my family to SEMA and have them see the car there and revealed. That was very important to me, for them to be able to see the car, kind of see the world, like SEMA, my world, and be able to share that with them. It was touching, and it was something that was very personal to me, because it's like this build is very personal to me. It's literally my life and everything I put into it. And being able to share that with my family, being able to share that with the people that have been involved to help me create this has been insane. And then sharing it to everybody watching, like, everybody watching and has supported for years, like, they're also a reason why things have come up the way they have come up, because they helped me keep going and keep finding these visions and dreams to keep going with the car, because it's that subconscious push of having people inspired of what you do. So me wanting to keep inspiring others, which also counteractively inspires me to want to keep pushing myself. So without everybody involved, it's never a one-person thing. It always takes a village. And without that village, it's nothing.
Nothing. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. It's crazy because it didn't even feel like a podcast to me.
It's catching up.
Yeah.
It's catching up.
And
like we would have had the same conversation
without the camera. And we always do. Kyler, Zach.
Well, I want to ask real quickly. I'm sorry. Right before, I mean, what is next though too? Because we didn't touch on that. What is next for you?
So yeah, that's a good thing is, so what I'm doing now, like, because a year and a half ago, I left my job and I've been full on to building the car and the body kit. The body kit that's my career. So I launched the body kit company, launched pre-orders for the body kit, which I have some pre-orders already, which I'm still pushing that and trying to lock down more pre-orders before I start the manufacturing process. But yeah, the body kit is my full focus in bringing that to life and start manufacturing the body kit and producing and selling. Of course, fulfilling the pre-orders, but then still continuing and selling. And then eventually, if stuff does well, going into other platforms, other models of cars, creating other body kits, spoilers, lip, whatever it may be. But really trying to start that path, that journey, that chapter, and seeing where it goes, because never know where it could go. And like I've been saying, it's just a matter of keep pushing forward with whatever you want to try to do and not giving up, because it's not a matter of, how should I say it? People don't fail, people quit.
Very true.
It's just got to keep going with it. Can't quit.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Now we can wrap. Now we
Yeah,
can
that
wrap
was
it
a
up.
pleasure.
Wrap it up.
Oh,
But
awesome.
thank you guys so much. If you made it this far in the video, we really appreciate it. We love you guys. We're coming out with content every single week.
Every week, pumping episodes.
pumping
Here
episodes.
it is.
subscribe button.
Basement Talk.
We love you guys. Thank you so much. Show some like. We're gonna link his
Show some
Instagram,
like.
TikTok,
Show some like.
OnlyFans.
everything in the,
Yo,
in the
OnlyFans
link
coming out.
below. But thank
Body
you guys
kit
so much for
OnlyFans.
watching, and sub, and we'll see you guys next week.
Widebody
Peace.
Kobe, baby.
Dude, you're pissing me off.
Such
bro.
a jack, dude. That was awesome, by the way. I love that.
Yeah, that was sick.
Say what it be, I know the king, follow his lead, repeat after me. I know they lurking, this serpent is circling, but I never worry, cause he got the keys, he let it bleed. Never put me on the freeze, just look how he spit it to me. It'll be out of right after I seek. You can't make the promise unless you the king. Jay with a baby, I am what he made me. No, you cannot say me, so it's for the birds. Buy full price, you ain't know what it's worth. He not letting go like it's grandmama purse.